if Babylon in the book of Daniel took over Israel, and Jesus told us to look at the book of Daniel, and whoso the reader would understand, then maybe we should be considering that the order that sits over Israel is a house that he could not gather his chicks under.
Bad Christian.
Hey, Bad Christian here again. And today I want to touch on a crazy subject in Scripture, Babylon. So, in Revelation, in chapter 17, it says in 17:5, upon her forehead, a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. And when I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, I saw her, and I wondered with great admiration. Now, we have a lot of different theories on what the biblical modern Babylon really is, but I had kind of a little bit of a revelation yesterday, and something just hit me. And when I began to look into what I was looking into, I found that there's quite a bit of connections going on here, and I want to share this with you guys, and you guys can look for yourselves and see exactly what I'm talking about and what I think I found here. Now, the identity of Babylon, like I said, has been, it's even declared in Scripture that the identity of Babylon is basically a mystery, that we don't understand who she is or what's going on. Basically, she'll be a power in the earth, but we won't understand it. So, I'm going to go to, this is what hit me, is I was thinking about the red letter in Matthew, and it just said that in her was found the blood of all the prophets and the saints. And in Matthew, Jesus says, he's talking to the Pharisees. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites. Okay, this is Matthew 23:27. Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but within are full of dead bones and all of uncleanness. Even so, ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees and hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets, and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Do you hear where I'm going with this? So the blood of the prophets are on the Pharisees, which is also declared on Babylon in Revelation. Wherefore ye witnesses unto yourselves that you are the children of them that killed the prophets. There it is again. Fill ye up the measure of your fathers. Serpents, generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and ye shall crucify, and you shall crucify, and some of them ye shall scourge in your synagogues and persecute from city to city. Synagogues, okay, that's a Judaism thing. Now, verse 35, I'm going to reassure it again, that upon you, okay, upon you, Jerusalem, upon you, scribes and Pharisees, upon you, the Jewish leadership at that time, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zacharias, the son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. Then he says this, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thee together, even as a hen gathered chickens under her wings, but ye would not. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem. This is in Israel. Okay, behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Your house is left unto you desolate. Notice how he uses house, okay? Now, so we're going to go back to Revelation again. All right? Now watch how these just continue to connect. Over and over, it'll just continue to connect right back to something that's going on right in front of our faces. It's right in front of us. So we're going to go to Revelation 17:6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered in great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carries her. Okay? So there's a beast that carries this woman. Okay? Now watch this. Revelation 2:9. We're going to go to Revelation 2:9. Okay? I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty, and thou art rich. Interesting. And the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So here we've got the Jew and the synagogue of Satan connected together. Okay? Again. Okay? We're going to go back to Matthew. Now, I'm not going to venture very far into the gospel. I don't need to go far. I can literally just go basically between Matthew and Revelation and show you this. But we are going to touch a few other books. Okay. So we're going to go to Matthew 10:16 through 22. Okay. Let's see. Give me a second. There we go. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. See, there's the synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors. Notice the word governor. Isn't that interesting? And kings. Okay, there's different styles of governing. For my sake, and a testimony against them and the Gentiles. It's very interesting. But when they deliver you up, take no thought on how or what ye shall speak, and it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father that speaketh in you. Okay? It says, And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. And then watch this. And ye shall be hated of all for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end, he shall be saved. Okay, so now we're talking about this tribulation that's taking place. Okay? Let's see. And just like Revelation said, back where we were just at, in Revelation 2, we're going to see that connection again. 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast of you into prison, and ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be ye faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith to the churches. Okay? Because that 10 is after 9, which we just read. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but the synagogue of Satan. Interesting. Okay. So, in Revelation 18, okay, notice we've got the devil and we've got Satan, and we've got this Babylon all connected. And 18:2. He cried with us, because this is the angel, right? He comes out and the earth is lightened with his glory, right? He cries with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is fallen. The great, that's interesting. And is become the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Hateful bird, okay? Right? And it even comes down to 4. It says, I heard, if you go to 18:4, I heard another voice come out from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. So come out of her, my people. Where can we see that in Matthew? Where can we see that evidence? Come out of her, my people. Let's see here. Matthew 24:9. We're going to stay right there in that same area there. Geez, there's a lot of red letter there. Okay. Jesus, okay, in 24. We'll start in 4. Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, because When is the sign of the end of the world coming? Okay. Many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Ye shall hear of wars, okay, rumors of wars. See ye be not troubled, for all these must come pass, but the end is not yet. Nation shall rise against nation, okay, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes, in divers places. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Now this is the verse right here. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. They shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, shall betray one another, shall hate one another. Many false prophets shall rise. They shall deceive many, because the iniquity shall abound, and the love of many shall wax cold. Okay, there's be cold-hearted things going on. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Okay? So now we've got this connection between the end days, and because in Matthew 23, 37 through 38, which is just above 24 there, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killest the prophets. Jerusalem kills the prophets. Interesting. So there's the Pharisees, there's the Jews, there's Jerusalem killing the prophets, just the same as Mystery Babylon the Great. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of saints and the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and I saw her and wondered with great admiration. So this pattern seems to be consistent. It says, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killest the prophets and stonest them that are sinning. How often would I have gathered you together? So he's making this plea to Jerusalem and to Israel that they have left his order. They have left his way. And not only that, but he's alluding to there's an order that has taken place over Israel that is actually a satanic order that claims that it's Jewish, but is not Jewish. And in essence, that becomes destroyed later on and becomes reestablished in 1949. Okay. So, we've got, let's see where we at. Revelation 18:2 was the habitation of devils. Matthew 24:9. Matthew 24:9. Now we're starting to get into the beef of this stuff here. It says, when they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. That's consistent with the tribulation that you see going on. Let's see here. 18:20, I believe here. 18:20. Revelation 18:20. Rejoice over her, heaven, ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. See that? He hath avenged you on her. And by her sorceries were all the nations deceived. Okay? So, Jesus goes on to talk, and it says, he that shall endure the end, the same shall be saved. This is Matthew 24:13. Now watch, 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all the nations. Remember, you got a witness unto the nations. You got a witness unto the governors. You got a witness unto the synagogues. Okay? Then it says this. This is what got me. This is what got me started on all of this. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. And then it says this. This is what got me. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Whoa. So we're talking about at Israel when the abomination of desolation stands place, talked about by Daniel the prophet. Well, whoso readeth, let him understand. Let's go to the book of Daniel and let's just pay attention for a second. Because what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to directly go into the verses of Daniel. I want to prove something a little bit different to you that maybe you haven't considered. And I'm going to read a bit of the prologue to the book of Daniel. Daniel's life and ministry bridged the entire 70-year period. Interesting, this is very important. Of the Babylonian captivity. Deported to Babylon at the age of 16, handpicked for government service. This is a style of rule. It's a type of government. Governors, okay? So think about this, people. Whoso readeth, let him understand. What is the book of Daniel about? The book of Daniel is about the captivity of Israel by Babylon, by a Babylonish leader. Okay? So the idea is Israel's held captive under the rule of Babylon. You know what's interesting? This rule has a very specific way that it operates. And as you go through the book of Daniel, you'll start to understand that there's things in there like presidents and governors and all this stuff that reflects the modern government that you see in a state in today's current civilizations. So to understand, there are these orders of this government that it's not like the law of God. And that's what Jesus seemed to be upset in the book of Matthew with the Pharisees about also. And that's why he tells them in Matthew 23:37, O Jerusalem, that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Okay? Now, we see in the book of Daniel, if we want to go in there just a little bit, okay, and we go into the end of chapter 11, right, at verse 45, he'll plant his tabernacle of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain, yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, since there never was, since there was a nation to that same time. So there's that tribulation that was talked about, major tribulations, okay? And you got this guy who's in Israel that has power over Israel, and in the book of Daniel, and this is talking about the latter day, and the book of Daniel is written in the image that Babylon has power over Israel for 70 years. Very interesting. Okay? Now, in Matthew 24:21, okay? He says, For then shall be a great tribulation, which is not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Okay? And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh shaved, but for the elect's sake, it shall be shortened. Okay? So notice that. There's that tribulation, what was talked about. And he talks about the false Christ. See, we can keep going. This will keep circulating back to itself. It's amazing at how well this stuff comes together when you really start looking at it. I really want to encourage you guys to really get in and dig at this. You will be absolutely amazed. Okay? So now we got 24:2. Okay, Jesus said unto them, See not that all these things, verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Now the common interpretation of this is, this happened in 80 AD, when all came and they destroyed. Now let me tell you something. He said not one stone. And there's a wall still standing there. And Jerusalem's still standing there. Okay? Israel's still there. Okay? They might have some Islamic mosques and some stuff built over the holy sites, but it's still there. It ain't laid flat, and it has yet to be laid flat. Plus, we can't interpret it that this was talking about 80 AD, because in verse 3 it says, As he sat upon the Mount Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall all these things be? What is the sign of the coming and the end of the world? 80 AD wasn't the end of the world, okay? 80 AD wasn't when Jesus came back. So obviously he's not talking about 80 AD. So we're making a fallacy to make an interpretation that this has already happened. No, this hasn't happened. And then we get into all this scripture that we've already been covering over and over here that keeps going back to the book of Revelation and comparing itself to this thing called Babylon, the harlot Babylon. Now, Revelation 18:4 connects to what we just read there about the stone not being on top of one another. We'll go back here to Revelation again. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, be not partakers in her sins, that you receive not her plagues. For her. So whatever her plagues were, her plagues is she's going to be destroyed. Okay? Okay? For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of earth have committed fornication with her. Okay? So, if we go back, so we just keep going right back to where we were. We're going to go right back to Matthew Matthew 24. Okay, so we're going to go right to the Daniel thing again. When ye therefore shall, 24:15, sorry guys. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Remember, it's going to be in Israel. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Now watch this. Here comes that same plea to flee that angel just said. Flee from her, that you will not receive of her plagues. Come out of her, my people. Be not partakers. And he says, then let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains. See there? There's Jesus making the same command, talking a very similar command. I'll not say same, very similar command that we see the angel cry in 18:2 of Revelation. And he cried with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, become the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Okay, so 4, and I heard a voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Okay, come out of her, my people. Come out of her. Be not partakers in her sins, that you receive not her plagues. Reward unto her, even as she is rewarded unto you. Double unto her, even as she is. Okay, so fill to her cup double. All right, guys, look. It's saying that there is something that's going to be a faction in Israel that's a ruling factor at this time. And it's going to reflect Daniel, which is this Babylonish order. And this is mystery, the Babylon the Great. Do you see how all this is starting to come together? Isn't this absolutely amazing? In 1820, at the end of the destruction, okay, he says, rejoice over her, heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And he took up a mighty stone, like a great millstone, and cast it to the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city, Babylon, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And then we can go right back down to 1824 again, right back to where we started, guys. And in her was found the blood of the prophets, and of the saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth. Now, you might be saying, how is it even possible that you could consider Babylon and the state of Israel to be connected? Let me explain to you why. I talked about 1948 earlier. That was important because there is an old family that established the modern state of Israel, and y'all probably heard of them. They're called the Rothschilds. Lord Rothschild, back in the early 1900s, was a German Jew, okay? And he was from the Berlin area in Germany, okay? And it's interesting because there is something actually talks directly to him in Revelation. We'll get there in just a minute. So it's interesting to me because you've got all this geopolitical stuff that's being moved around, and you've got these Jews, these Ashkenaz Jews that are rich, okay? It says, I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, okay? And the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, okay? The synagogue of Satan. Well, if we go on down, we can just read a little bit. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast of you into prison. You shall be tried. You shall have tribulation 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. And now we got this next place called Pergamos. To the angel of the church in Pergamos, write, these things saith he that hath the sharp sword with two edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, and where Satan's seat is. Satan's seat is. So Satan seats in a place called Pergamos. Well, there's this thing called the Great Altar of Pergamos, and it resides in Berlin. And it's actually considered the seat of Satan by the Greeks and by the Nordics. But what's funny is people think that an actual man sit there. And I would say that's but an altar because it has to do with the governing style also. It has to do with the way that they handle the law of mankind. So you've got these Lord Rothschild back in World War II. He's from the Berlin area, which is where the seat of Satan is. He's an Ashkenaz Jew, supposedly, and his family is the richest family on earth, and he decides that he's going to buy the land that ends up becoming the state of Israel. He actually establishes the state of Israel conveniently at the same time that the Holocaust is going on. Okay, so you've got the Holocaust going on, you've got Germany killing some Jews and letting some Jews go over to this Israel territory that the king of Britain's going to help them declare as a state later on. And they established this state underneath this supposed Jewish state. But the men and the people that established that state came straight from Germany and straight from the place of Pergamos, where the seat of Satan is. And now they rule over there. So you guys have to start thinking about all this stuff, because if Babylon, okay, if Babylon in the book of Daniel took over Israel, and Jesus told us to look at the book of Daniel, and whoso the reader can understand, then maybe we should be considering that the order that sits over Israel is a house that he could not gather his chicks under. You see, they would not come to him. They would not keep the house in order. And it's interesting because we can go back to the book of Matthew, right back to where Jesus was, and he's going to talk about it just a little more for you. We just keep going back and forth. Absolutely amazing to me how well this stuff comes out. And I really hope that you guys get into your scripture and really take a look at some of this stuff, because it's absolutely mind-blowing. Okay. So, sorry, I'm trying to check my notes, guys. Okay, here we go. 24. Okay. So after he talks about Daniel in chapter 24 of Matthew, okay, we're going to start at the tribulation, because we're just kind of talking about that there. 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then, after the tribulation, guys, I know the rapture and all that, and Jesus says, red letter, after the tribulation, he'll come. So, then, after that, specifically, immediately after, specifically, the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be dark, and the moon shall give her light. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Okay, verse 30. 31, he'll send his angels, the sound of a great trumpet. Now he's going to start talking about a parable. Okay? And I find this interesting because he goes in and start talking about Noah and the flood. But then when we start to get in here, there's this reference that gets made. All right? And this is going to end up back over to where we were, because remember in 23:37, he calls it, O Jerusalem that killest the prophets. Wait a minute, where did I go here? Oh yeah, 38. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. So there's the house talking of. So he goes on, and he's talking about when all these things are going to happen. And then he says this in verse 43. Everybody loves this verse. But know this, that if the good man, this is Matthew 24:43. Know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would have come, he would have watched and not suffered his house to be broken up. So there's the house talked about. He come back to the house and talked about the house again. So what is this house? Well, earlier he referenced it as Jerusalem and those that rule there. And the government, the way that they rule there, that's their house. Oh, I would love to have you underneath my wing, but I can't do it because you keep you keep going after your own precepts and your own laws, and you keep going away from my law, and you keep venturing into this style of government that he just doesn't care for, that seems to come from something very old. Now, if that's the case, it would make sense, because you've got the establishment of the UN directly after the establishment of Israel, and it seems like they're connected. And the same people established these things. So there's the beast that she rides. There's the beast that she rides with the different heads. Okay? You got different heads, you got different horns. All right? There's the beast. She's riding all over it. We know that the beast that she rides, that all the nations give it its power. All the nations are gathered into it. Guess what? The UN is that entity on earth, and has been that entity, like the book of Daniel, in reflection for 70 years.